Alright, hello guys. So just welcome back to the second part of this lesson. And now we are going to build on the creative posters you made last lesson. So let's quickly remember what you did in the lesson 3. And last lesson you chose a tax tab like income tax, GST, the company tax, the excess, and the tariff. And then you created a textiles character to show what that tax is like in real life. And you use words, images, and the trade of sentence to show that impact of this tax. So in part A, you have already done the creative visual work. Today in part B, we're going to do the thinking and the writing behind your poster. And you're going to explain why you made those choices and who is helped and or hurt by your tax. So by the end of this lesson, you should have a 150 to 200 word written justification for your textiles poster. Does that make sense? So, all right. So before we move into the writing, I want to link back to some details from your poster because that one is also the part of this assignment. So on this slide, you can see a reminder about the labels, bubbles, or text that you could add around your main design. So these small labels show that how you understand the real text system works. And we also talk about the factual notes at the bottom of your poster, the green color sentence. So this could be a number, a rule, or a short sentence that gives extra information like a real text rule or formula. And of course, you all have to include one trade-off sentence in your poster. So just remember, like a trade-off is when something improves but something else gets worse. So I want you guys to show me like you truly understand how the text works in the real lives. Okay, so keep these ideas in your mind because they will come back again in your justification paragraph. All right, so now let's move on to the next page. So here's a mini quiz. So now we are going to start with a very quick quiz to wake up your brain and check that you still remember some key ideas from last lesson. So you will see these 3 questions on the slide. And from this lesson, from this online lesson, so I want you guys to pause the video in a moment and open your notebook. So please answer the first question and the second question in full. And for the last question, write one clear sentence about the text type you chose in your poster, okay? So this part should take you about 3 minutes. All right, please pause the video now, complete the mini quiz, and then come back when you're ready. All right, so welcome back, guests. So let's quickly check the answers together. For the first question, the tax that is linked to your pay from work is the income tax, right? And the second one, the formula is net pay equals to gross earnings minus pay G, right? So that is one of the evidence note you can use when you choose the income tax. Okay, so for the last question, your answer will be different depending on your tax. So for example, for excess tax on cigarettes, you may write, excess tax can make people buy fewer cigarettes because the price is higher, right? Or for GST, you may say, GST can change what people buy because some goods become more expensive than others. So this quiz is a formative check. It tells me whether you still remember the basic ideas and it helps you warm up your thinking for the justification writing in the later lesson. All right, so now let's look at what you are actually writing today. So on the slide, it says a justification is a clear explanation of why you made certain choices using the reasons and the evidence. So your poster is part A. It shows you ideas with images and a short trade-off sentence. And the part B is your justification. So that is where you explain about like why you chose this text and this character, who is helped by your text and who is hurt, and whether you think the text is fair or unfair or maybe necessary but controversial. So in part B, in this lesson, you will analyze who benefits and who loses from this text and evaluate is it fair or unfair or a mix of both, and create a strong paragraph that uses economic language and your own judgment. So this is where your higher order thinking really shows. You're not just remembering facts, you're connecting ideas, making judgments, and explaining your reasoning clearly. Does that make sense? So on the next few slides, I'm going to show you a simple structure to organize your justification. So you can follow this as a checklist when you write. So we start with the first step, claim, introduce your text and the big idea. So for this part, you write 2 to 3 sentences. Your job here is to clearly say which text you chose, introduce who your character is, and explain the main message of your poster. So on the slide, you can see sentence starters you can borrow. For example, my poster shows that this text as this character because blah, blah, blah. Or in my story, this text is like this role because it blah, 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 blah. So if you did access text, you may start with my poster show access tax as a doctor because the government uses this tax to treat unhealthy products. Or if you did company tax, you might say, my poster shows company tax as a strict accounting because it checks how much profit big businesses make and it takes a share for the government. So when you write your claim, imagine you're explaining your poster to someone who cannot see the picture. So from this first part, they should already understand what text you chose and what your main idea is. So step 2 is reason 1 and evidence. So in this part, you write another 2 to 3 sentences. You should explain how your tax works and who pays it, link it to fairness or to government money, use some economic keywords. So on this line, you can also see some examples of the keywords you can use, and you do not have to use all of them, but you should try to use at least 4 economic terms in your whole paragraph. So you can use the sentence starters like, this tax is fair, unfair for group because blah, blah, blah. Or it helps the government because it brings in money to pay for these services. So for example, you can say this tax is fair for high income earners because they can afford to contribute more, right? So in reason 1, think who pays, how does it affect fairness or government revenue, and what evidence can I give? So step 3 is reason 2 and evidence, which is about the real life impacts. So here you explain a different type of effect of your tax in real life. So again, this is 2 to 3 sentences. And on the slide, it says you can focus on health, consumption or spending, trade or inequality. So ask yourself, does this tax change what people buy? Does it affect people's health? Does it change how rich and poor people are treated? Does it affect trade between countries? So you also want to show how people or business change their behavior because of this tax. And the sentence starters on the slide say, this tax also affects health, what people buy, trade rich and poor people because blah, blah, blah. So you can use these starters as well. And this part helps you show that you can integrate knowledge. You're not just talking about money, but also about real people and real choices. So step 4 is your trade-off sentence, who is helped and who is hurt. This is usually 1 or 2 sentences, but it is very important because it shows your higher order thinking. So a trade-off sentence tells the reader that this text has positive effects and negative effects at the same time. So on the slide, you can see the stems, right? So you can use them as well. And for example, you could say, higher access helps the health system and reduces smoking, but it hurts low-income smokers who lose more of their limited income, right? Or you could say, adding a tariff protects local jobs, but it increases prices for consumers. So when you read this part, be very specific about who is helped and who is hurt. Don't just say people. Okay, just be specific, like say workers, students, low-income families, small business, big companies, importers, and so on. So last step is the conclusion, which is about your overall judgment. So here you write 1 to 2 sentences to give your final opinion about the text. And on the slide, you can see some strong judgments words you can use. And also the sentence starters you can use as well. So you might say, overall, I think GST is mostly fair because everyone pays the same percentage when they buy things, but it can still be hard for low-income families, right? Or you could say, in my opinion, even though excess tax hurts some poor smokers, this tax is still important because it protects public health and raises money for hospitals. So this conclusion shows that you have weighed both sides and made a clear decision. Does that make sense for everybody? All right, so now let's look at the whole task you will complete for part B. And on this slide, you can see the steps. So here are first 4 steps. You can follow the instruction. And underneath, you can see the success criteria. So these are the things I will look for when I rate your work. And please don't start writing your full paragraph just yet. First, I'm going to show you where to find the scaffolding questions, and then we will look at a complete sample paragraph together. After that, I'll give you time to apply and write. So on this slide, you can see the instructions for the textile scaffolding questions handout. So the handout is available in the lesson 4 folder on our class online page. Please open it now in a new tab or as a PDF file. So you do not need to print it. You can just read it on your screen, okay? So here's the instruction. And here's what I want you to do now. So open the scaffolding questions handout. Scroll to the section that matches your text and read the questions carefully and choose 3 to 4 that you find most interesting or most helpful. And in your Access book or in a new document, write short notes or dot points answering those questions. So this planning step should take you about 6 to 8 minutes. Please pause the video now, complete your notes using the scaffolding questions, and then come back when you're ready. Okay, so welcome back. You should now have some notes answering several scaffolding questions for your chosen task. These notes will make it much easier to write your paragraph. So before you write your own justification, let's look at a full simple paragraph together for the poster we used last week. And this example is for excess tax, and the character is a doctor. So please follow the text with your eyes on the slide, okay? All right, so you can see there are a paragraph that is that has different colors. So you could say the first sentence is a claim. It introduces the text and the character and the big idea, right? So it shows that the access tax just as a doctor because the government uses this tax to treat unhealthy products like cigarettes or sugary drinks. And then the next 2 sentences show the reason 1. This tax helps the government and the public health with evidence about revenue and health campaigns. And the 2 sentences in purple says show the reason 2. So the tax can be unfair for low-income consumers with a clear example about poor smokers. The sentence that starts with the higher access helps, but hers is the trade-off sentence. So it shows the positive and the negative effects together of the access tax, right? So the last sentence is the conclusion. It gives an overall judgment, so necessary but controversial, and explains why. So notice also that this paragraph uses several economic and social keywords like the revenue, the public health, the low income, the consumers, and access. So it talks about who is helped and who is hurt, and it clearly explains the trade-off. So if it helps you, you can pause and copy 1 or 2 sentence starters or phrases that you like. So just remember, when you write your paragraph, it must be about your own text tab and your own poster, not about access tax, okay? So finally, we have a self-check checklist for your writing. After you write your paragraph, you will come back to these slides and ask yourself these questions. Did I use at least 4 economic keywords correctly? Did I explain who is helped and who is hurt by this tax? Did I include 1 clear trade-off sentence? And did I write in full sentences and link ideas with words like because, so, therefore? So here is how I want you to use this in the online lesson. So in a moment, I will ask you to pause the video again, take about 15 minutes to write your word justification for your text poster using the structured slides we have and your scaffolding notes and the sample paragraph as a model. So when you finish your first draft, come back to this slide and read the checklist carefully. So make any edits or improvements you need so that you can honestly answer yes to each question. This editing step should take about another 5 minutes. So now it's time to write. Please pause the video now and spend about 15 minutes writing your paragraph. Then use the checklist to edit your work. So when you're done that, you can upload your justification to the lesson 4 assignment space or just in the comment below. Or you can just, if you want, you can just send your poster and your justification document to my address, to my email address. So just take your time, do your best thinking, and really show me your understanding of your text and your values about fairness. So just good luck, and I'm looking forward to reading your justifications.